Students, today we will discuss a very important topic, and that is contraceptive methods. Contraceptive method. First of all, you should know what are contraceptive methods. Contraceptive methods are those methods which are used to prevent the unwanted pregnancy. Clear? The method which are used to prevent the unwanted pregnancy or to delay the pregnancy or to space the pregnancy. Those methods are known as the contraceptive methods. Clear? So what are contraceptive methods? Those methods which are used to prevent the unwanted pregnancy, to delay the pregnancy or to keep a space between the pregnancy is known as contraceptive methods. Next important thing is, what are the properties of an ideal contraceptive? So there are 4 important properties which are given in NCERT, and it is very important. Many times it has been asked that write down the important properties of an ideal contraceptive. So just remember, first of all, it should be user friendly. The person who is using it, it should be friendly to it. So it should be user friendly. It should be easily available. Next, it should be effective. Effective means it should fulfill the purpose for which it is being used. So it should be effective. It should be reversible and with no or less side effects. So its side effects should be less or minimum. It should not affect the sexual desire of that person. So these are the 4 important properties of an ideal contraceptive. Now these contraceptive methods can be classified into 2 important categories, that is the temporary method and the permanent method. Temporary method means that method which are reversible, and permanent method are those whose chances of reversibility is very poor, very less. So those method will be included in permanent method, and in permanent method you will learn the surgical method, that is the vasectomy in males and tubectomy in females. That will deal later. First of all, we will study the temporary method, those methods which are reversible. And in this, we will study the natural method, the barrier method, IUCDs, oral pills, and all these are included in the temporary method. So first of all, we will discuss about the natural method. So natural method is where we are not using any equipment, we are just using, it is just a natural process which we are using here if we have the knowledge of the reproductive system. So in natural method, first of all, what is the principle of the natural method? Here we are preventing the fertilization. So we are not allowing to meet the ovum and the sperm to meet and to fertilize. So it is based on this principle to prevent the fertilization. The first method here is the withdrawal method. In withdrawal method, the male will remove it will withdraw the penis just before the ejaculation so that no fertilization takes place. So withdrawal method where the penis is withdrawn just before the ejaculation to prevent the fertilization. But my dear student, this is not a very good method because the chances of failure is very high in the withdrawal method. So the failure chances is very high. Next method is calendar method. It is also known as periodic abstinence or the safe period. So we have to remember the actual concept behind the calendar method. For that you should know the menstrual cycle. Here in NCERT the menstrual cycle is given in detail. We will discuss it in another video. But here we can see that the menstrual cycle is of 28 days. Clear? We all know that it is of 28 days. But it can vary a little. So we have written plus or 2 days. It can be plus or minus. Clear? Plus minus means that 28th day is of cycle, and in the mid of the cycle, that is on 14th day, ovulation takes place. So menstrual cycle is here. The 14th day ovulation will take place. But for those females which if the ovulation takes 2 days earlier, that is on the 12th day, and there are some female, it can be that the ovulation takes place after 2 days, that is on the 16th day. So it can vary a little. It's not exactly that it will take, the ovulation will take only the 14th day. So it could vary plus or minus 2 days. Now what happens, we have to remember that the life cycle of a sperm, the sperm lives for the 3 days and the ovum lives for 1 day. Clear? Now just see here, suppose the coitus takes place on the 10th day. It means the sperm entry will take place on the 10th day. And a female who is ovulating on the 12th day. Now what will happen? The sperm can live for how many days? It can live for the 3 days. So 10th, 11th and 12th. So if the ovum is released on the 12th day, what will happen? There will be fertilization. Clear? Now just see here, suppose there is a woman and what happens, the ovulation takes place on the 16th day. There is a little variation in his cycle, and what happens, the ovulation takes place on the 16th day. Now the egg could survive for 1 day, that is on 17th day. Now what happens, if the coitus takes place, the sperm will fuse with the ovum and fertilization will take place. So we can see that, my dear student, that the period from the 10th day to the 17th day, it is not safe. It is the fertile period. Which period is this? This is the fertile period, and here the chances of fertilization is very, very high. So it is written in your book that from 10 to 17 day coitus should be avoided so that no fertilization takes place. Clear? It's not necessary that the fertilization will take place only on the 14th day, because the cycle vary a little. So from the 10th day to the 17th day is very unsafe day, and here the chances of fertilization is very, very high. So which period will be the safe period? The safe period will be from menses to the up to the 10th day, and after the 17th day up to the menses takes place, that period will be the safe day. But this period 10 to 17th day, it is not safe. It is the fertile period. So here it is called as calendar method. Periodic abstinence, at that time coitus should be avoided, and this period is not very safe, and here the coitus should be avoided to prevent the fertilization. The third one is lactational amenorrhea. Okay, you have to remember lactational amenorrhea. So what happens? What is the concept behind the lactational amenorrhea? Just see here. This is our pituitary gland. Just see here, this is the pituitary gland after parturition. Parturition means when the woman has given birth to a baby. Now that 6 month, what will happen? The hormone prolactin will be released. My dear student, from the anterior pituitary, the hormone prolactin will be released for the 6 month, and that period will be called as lactational period. Clear? Now what happens during this period? It gives this prolactin hormone, it will give a negative feedback to the hypothalamus that it should not release GnRH. Clear? This prolactin will give a negative feedback that no GnR should be secreted. When this GnRH will not be secreted, what will happen? It will not activate the anterior pituitary to release LH and FSH. If it is not clear, just see here. If in the normal days, if I am not talking about the lactational period, this GnRH stimulates the anterior pituitary to secrete LH and FSH, and if LH and FSH is secreted, then menses takes place. But during the lactational period, this prolactin hormone gives a negative feedback that no GnRH should be secreted. When no GnRH will be secreted, what will happen? Then it will not stimulate the anterior pituitary to secrete LH and FSH. And if LH and FSH is not secreted, what will happen? No menses will take place. Clear? So it is that during this period what will happen? No fertilization will take place. But here also there is chances of failure. But you have to remember the concept that during the lactational period there is a negative feedback by the hormone PRL, that is prolactin hormone, which gives a negative feedback, and GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone, do not stimulate the anterior pituitary. As a result, LH and FSH, that is luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, is not secreted. As a result, no menses takes place. Clear? So that period is regarded as that during that time, if coitus takes place, no fertilization will take place, as no menses is occurring at that 6 months. But here also there is chances of failure. So all these are the natural method: withdrawal method, calendar method, and lactational amenorrhea. Clear? Now the next method is the barrier method. Here some barrier is used to prevent the fertilization. So just see here, it prevents, the principle is that it prevents the fertilization, first thing. But this is very important, very effective contraceptive method, because it prevents fertilization, and beside that it also prevents STI, that is sexually transmitted infection, and it also prevents the AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. My dear student, many times this question I have seen in CBSE paper, that which method is the best method. So we can say that this barrier method is very important, very effective method, because it not only prevent the pregnancy, but it also prevent us from STI, sexually transmitted infection, and AIDS. Clear? It is a reversible method, and here we can see that condoms are used by the males, and the female condoms, it is for the females. These two are disposable, one-time use. These are made up of thin rubber or latex sheath. Clear? So they are what we can say, that they are disposable. They are made up of rubber sheath. The condoms, they are worn by the males, and the female condoms are also available in the market. Here we can also see the cervical cap, diaphragm, and vault. They are reusable. These are not reusable, but these are cervical cap, diaphragm, and vault. They are reusable, and they are worn on the cervix. So the main principle is that to prevent the fertilization. It covers the cervix, and they are made up of rubber cap. Clear? So this is also very important, and many time questions have been asked from the barrier method. The next method here is the chemical method. The name suggests that certain chemicals is being used here. So these chemicals acts as spermicidal. Spermicidal means those chemicals which kills the sperms. So chemical method are those in which certain chemicals are used, and these chemicals kills the sperms, so they come under the category of spermicidal. Available as creams, foams, vaginal tablet. Now how these chemicals are present? These are present in the form of creams, in the form of foams, and in the form of vaginal tablets. Clear? Now what are those chemicals? Those chemicals are citric acid, boric acid, zinc sulfate. You have to remember the name of these chemicals. These are citric acid, boric acid, and zinc sulfate. So it could be asked, name certain chemicals which are used in chemical method. Clear? Next is, they kill the sperm by disrupting the membrane. They disrupt the membrane, and therefore they kill the sperm. So these are some of the natural methods. Next we will discuss about IUDs. Very, very important IUDs, that is intrauterine devices. Now these intrauterine devices, these are inserted by doctors. We cannot insert ourselves. It is inserted either by the doctors or by the expert nurse, that is IUDs. But here in barrier method, we use condoms, cervical caps, all these can be self-inserted. So there is no need of doctor or nurse. This we can insert ourselves. But in the case of IUDs, it is inserted either by the doctor or by the expert nurse. It increases the phagocytosis of the sperms, and it also releases copper ions is also released. When copper ion is released by these IUCDs, what happens? They decreases the motility of the sperm and then it causes the phagocytosis. Clear? So for phagocytosis, first of all, the motility of the sperm is to be reduced and that is reduced by the copper ions. We will study this in detail. This suppresses the motility and fertilizing capacity of the sperm. Most widely accepted in India. This method is mostly accepted method in India. Now we'll discuss IUD in detail.